When you think about history, like the big figures, the ones that really had an impact and shaped how people think, it always makes you wonder about their own lives, right? Like what
Yeah.
made them who they were, especially when you're talking about religious scholars.
Yeah, definitely. Like, their personal journeys are fascinating, right? It's all about those little things, the
Well,
things that
yeah.
shape them intellectually and spiritually.
Exactly. So today we're diving deep into the life of someone pretty important in the Shia world, Sheikh Mohammed Taqi Misbah Yazdi.
A scholar whose influence you can still see and feel today, for sure.
And luckily, we have a ton of information about him after he passed away. All the typical stuff: birth, education, his career as a teacher, the positions he held, the books he wrote, and even how deeply he impacted his students and the whole community.
Yeah, there's so many touching messages from people after he died.
So we're going to go through all that, try to really grasp who Sheikh Misbah Yazdi was, what he did, and why it matters.
We're basically unpacking his life for you listening so you can see what stands out and why it's significant.
Perfect. So to start with the basics, Sheikh Misbah Yazdi was born on the 25th of Shawwal in the year 1353, according to the Islamic lunar calendar.
In Yazd, Iran. And that's also where his journey in religious studies began, around 1365 AH.
So he was pretty young when he started formally learning about religion.
Oh, yeah, very young. He was immersed in it from the get-go. Then in 1371 AH, he went to Najaf.
Najaf, wow. That's like a huge center for Shia scholarship, right?
It's one of the most prominent in the world, historically and religiously. It's where he went to really delve deeper into his Haza studies.
That's the traditional Shia seminary system, right?
Yep. Jurisprudence, theology, Quranic interpretation, all that.
Yeah.
He spent a few months there soaking up the knowledge.
Well, he ended up settling in Qom, right?
Right. Another incredibly important hub for religious learning. Qom became his home base until he passed away. He dedicated himself to teaching, writing, and fulfilling his duties there.
And let's not forget about his teachers. The people he learned from are like a who's who of Shia thought.
Oh, yeah, we're talking Sayyid Hussein al-Buwajirdi, Imam al-Khomeini, Allama al-Tabatabai.
Major figures in 20th century Shia scholarship.
For sure, Sayyid Hussein al-Buwajirdi was a leading marja.
Yeah.
That's a high-ranking religious authority whose rulings are followed by lots of Shia Muslims.
And then, of course, Imam al-Khomeini, the leader of the Islamic Revolution, and Allama al-Tabatabai, who made huge contributions to philosophy and Quranic interpretation.
And we can't leave out Sheikh Mohammed Taqi al-Bajat.
Oh, right. Known for his piety and spiritual insights.
Learning from such a diverse and esteemed group shaped Sheikh Misbah Yazdi's thinking in profound ways.
It's amazing how knowledge gets passed down from one generation to the next. And speaking of passing down knowledge, Sheikh Misbah Yazdi had some pretty impressive students himself.
He did. Mentorship is so important, and in religious scholarship, it's everything.
We have a list here of some of his most prominent students.
Like Sheikh Mohsen al-Iraqi, who's held big leadership roles, and Sayyid Muhammad Mahdi al-Mir Bakiri, a well-respected intellectual, and even his own son-in-law, Sheikh Mahmud al-Muhammadi al-Iraqi.
So his influence reached far and wide.
He truly shaped future thinkers and leaders.
To understand how highly regarded he was in the religious community, let's look at what other prominent figures said after his passing.
Great idea. There are some very insightful condolence statements.
For example, Sheikh Nasr Makarim Shirazi, a leading religious authority in Qom, said he was a wise scholar, virtuous and pious.
High praise indeed. He also mentioned how dedicated he was to serving Islam and nurturing his students.
Sheikh Abdullah Jawadi Amoli, another prominent figure in Qom, called him a master of both rational and transmitted sciences.
Showing how well-versed he was in both philosophy and traditional religious texts.
And it wasn't just in Iran. Sheikh Abdul Amir Kabalan, who was the president of the Supreme Islamic Shiite Council in Lebanon, considered him a model of the missionary scholar.
And an exceptional mujtahid and jurist, which means he could interpret Islamic law independently. He also acknowledged his contributions to Islamic literature through his many writings.
All of this really shows how much he was admired and respected for his intellect, piety, dedication to education, and his contributions to Islamic thought.
He had a significant impact on the Shia world, that's for sure.
Now, beyond teaching and scholarship, Sheikh Misbah Yazdi was actively involved in several key Iranian institutions. He served in the Assembly of Experts for Leadership multiple times, representing different regions.
Being part of that assembly, which is responsible for electing and overseeing the supreme leader, shows how involved he was in the country's socio-political life.
And representing different regions, Khuzestan, Tehran, and Razavi Khorasan tells us he had widespread support and people trusted his judgment.
Exactly. He also held memberships in the Supreme Council of the Cultural Revolution and the Association of Teachers of the Religious Seminary in Qom.
So he influenced cultural policy and religious education?
The Supreme Council of the Cultural Revolution sets the overall cultural direction of Iran, so being a part of that speaks volumes about his views on religion and culture.
And his membership in the Association of Teachers in Qom shows how much respect he had from his peers.
Absolutely. He was also involved in the administration of the Haqqani School, headed the Supreme Council of the Al-Bayt World Assembly.
And held the position of president of the Imam Khomeini Institute for Education and Research.
Wow, that's a lot. He was clearly dedicated to public life and sharing knowledge in various ways.
Leading the Imam Khomeini Institute shows his commitment to nurturing future scholars and promoting research.
For sure. And founding the Bakir al-Ulum Research Institute and the Office for Coordination between the Haza and the university further proves that.
He wanted to advance intellectual progress and bridge different areas of knowledge.
Right. And let's not forget his active role in the Fayda Tariq al-Haq Scientific and Cultural Institute.
So he kept engaging with contemporary intellectual and cultural issues.
Always. Now let's move on to his writing. Sheikh Misbah Yazdi wrote a lot.
He did. He published extensively in both Arabic and Persian.
And some of his Persian works were translated into Arabic, showing that his ideas resonated even beyond Iran.
His bibliography is pretty impressive. He wrote on a wide range of topics.
Like Shar Ilahiyat al-Shifa li Ibn Sina, which is a massive commentary on Avicenna's philosophical work, The Book of Healing.
So that shows his deep understanding of Islamic philosophy. Then there's Al-Akhlaq fi al-Quran al-Karim.
Another multi-volume work, this time focusing on ethics from the Holy Quran.
He also wrote about Islamic political and legal thought in books like Al-Nazariya, Al-Siyasiyya fi al-Islam, and Al-Hukm al-Siyasa fi al-Quran.
In Al-Nazariya, Al-Siyasiyya fi al-Islam, he presented his ideas on Islamic governance based on religious principles.
And in Al-Manhaj al-Jadid fi Talim al-Thasafa, he explored new ways to teach philosophy.
It's amazing how much he covered, from philosophy to ethics to politics to pedagogy. He wanted to address fundamental questions from an Islamic perspective.
And his family has continued his legacy of scholarship. His sons, Dr. Sheikh Ali and Dr. Sheikh Mujtaba, are both accomplished scholars and professors.
They work at the Imam Khomeini Institute and within the Hassa system. It's beautiful how knowledge and dedication are passed down through generations.
And as we said, his son-in-law, Sheikh Mahmoud al-Muhammadi al-Iraqi, has also pursued scholarship and held political positions,
showing how interconnected these different areas can be.
Sheikh Misbah Yazdi passed away in 2021 in Tehran
on the 17th of Jumada al-Awwal in the year 1442 AH.
And the way he was laid to rest shows the immense respect he had.
The Supreme Leader, Sayyid Ali Khamenei, led his funeral prayer in Tehran.
And then there was another funeral prayer in Qom, led by Sheikh Hussein al-Nuri al-Hamadani.
He was buried near the shrine of Lady Fatima al-Masuma in Qom, one of the holiest sites in Shia Islam.
Sayyid Khamenei also issued a condolence statement praising Sheikh Misbah Yazdi,
calling him a divine scholar, jurist, and striving sage.
He also called him a distinguished thinker, capable manager, and gifted speaker,
emphasizing how dedicated he was to learning, teaching, and communicating complex religious ideas.
Sayyid Khamenei specifically mentioned his contributions to religious thought, his books, his students, and his public service.
He also highlighted his piety, which everyone saw as key to his success.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the life of Sheikh Mohammed Taqi Misbah Yazdi, it's clear that he was an extraordinary figure.
He had extensive education, a long teaching career, held important positions, and wrote many impactful books.
He was admired and respected by his peers, his students, and the highest religious and political leaders.
His life was a testament to learning, teaching, and serving his community.
He engaged with both classical Islamic thought and modern-day issues, showing the dynamism of religious scholarship.
It's remarkable how much one person can achieve when they're driven by intellectual curiosity and their faith.
His journey makes you think about the many roles religious scholars play in society.
And how a life devoted to knowledge can have a lasting impact and inspire generations to come.
What do you think about that? How does his story make you reflect on the influence religious scholars can have?
Yeah, how they can shape communities and leave a legacy that keeps on giving long after they're gone. It's pretty inspiring.
It really is. Something to think about, for sure.